The war in Iran began explosively, with US and Israeli forces launching missile salvos and obliterating infrastructure. The regime was eliminated bit by bit. Air defenses were crippled, but America didn't stop there. Airstrikes followed, allowing the US to enjoy total superiority in the air and success on the ground. It's a remarkably effective strategy, achieving the most important objective, aerial superiority. It's the first step towards victory. With air superiority, every other operation becomes much easier. By controlling the skies, forces can operate freely, ensuring objectives are met with precision. Operation Epic Fury proves that the sky is the key to winning the war, for the updates I'm reporting. Troops and tanks can roll across the ground with far less risk of being attacked from above, while frigates, destroyers, and warships can position themselves closer to enemy positions, firing missiles or conducting other offensive operations without the ever-present fear of enemy bombers. Thanks to that, entire armies are able to move faster, strike harder, and strengthen their advantage over their opponents. For the enemy, military operations become more challenging. Their forces have to constantly keep an eye on the skies. Tanks and other high-value assets have to be hidden away or repositioned to more defensive locations, rather than being deployed on the front lines. Units have to operate with far greater care, moving slowly under cover of darkness just to stay alive. America's airstrikes have cleared the way for targeted strikes on Iranian infrastructure and high-value targets. On March 13th, for example, US forces carried out an extensive bombing raid on Karg Island, one of the most important oil export hubs in the region. America's Air Force spared the island's oil infrastructure, but didn't show Iran's military sites the same sort of mercy, targeting more than 90 sites in total, destroying numerous naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, and multiple other military sites. With US President Donald Trump sharing details of the raid online, the United States Central Command executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East and totally obliterated every military target in Iran's crown jewel, Karg Island. US and Israeli forces have also exploited their aerial advantage to destroy literally hundreds of Iran's missile launch platforms, wiping out more than 60% of the country's rocket launchers in the first 3 weeks of the war alone. To be more precise, according to data from the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, it's estimated that Iran lost around 260 to 290 of its 410 to 440 launchers in those opening bombing raids and missile strikes. Thanks to that, its offensive capacities today are a fraction of what they once were, which is why the number of reports of Iranian missile strikes on surrounding Gulf states has massively decreased as the way has progressed. Thanks to that, its offensive capacities today are a fraction of what they once were, which is why the number of reports of Iranian missile strikes on surrounding Gulf states has massively decreased as the way has progressed. On February 28th, the first day of Operation Epic Fury, Iran could launch over 180 ballistic missiles. By March 8th, that number plummeted to just 9. US forces have taken out dozens of critical assets, severely limiting their strike capabilities. Admiral Brad Cooper, head of US Central Command, revealed, "We have destroyed over 100 Iranian naval vessels, and we aren't done." Bit by bit, the US has eviscerated Iran's ability to defend itself, undermining the regime's authority in the process. This is the beauty of aerial superiority, a gift that keeps on giving. It ensures safer operations and swifter results. The US and Israel are only set to get stronger, dominating intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance across the region. When you have control of the skies and access to high-end drones and surveillance systems, you can collect vast amounts of data about your enemy on a near-constant basis. Every day, every hour, America's drones and surveillance aircraft hover in Iranian airspace, feeding a constant stream of intelligence to command centers. The US has deployed E-2D Hawkeye aircraft to the region, equipped with powerful radar systems capable of detecting threats from hundreds of miles away. This makes it incredibly difficult for Iran, with its diminished munitions, to launch any counterattack against its opponents. US and allied bases are now significantly safer, benefiting from the intelligence needed to plan every tactical step with maximum efficiency. With these eyes in the sky, the strategic advantage remains firmly in America's hands, while Iran's options continue to narrow. Its regime suffered a near-fatal blow on day one, when Ali Khamenei was killed, plunging the leadership into a deep crisis. While US and Israeli forces focused on taking out further targets, Iran's leaders were spiraling, wondering who would replace their Ayatollah. They settled on his son, Mojtaba Khamenei, who narrowly survived an airstrike that claimed the lives of several top officials. However, the new supreme leader has barely been seen. Rumors are spreading that he may have been seriously disfigured in that initial strike. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth labeled him a not-so-supreme leader, noting his recent statement lacked both voice and video. In a nation with plenty of cameras and voice recorders, his silence speaks volumes about the regime's stability. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. This leads us to yet another all-important advantage of aerial superiority, the psychological impact. When enemy planes rule your skies, when fighter jets have full freedom to fly where they want, and bombers have clear, unobstructed pathways to easily eliminate any assets and infrastructure you have left, it's only natural that morale begins to suffer. And that's what's happening in Iran. The regime's rhetoric may still be bold and bombastic, with officials continuing to make claims that they'll punish America and its allies. But the facts of the matter are clear to see. Iran is, effectively, at the mercy of the US and Israel. Its air defense network has been obliterated, its missile and drone stocks have diminished, and its leadership is struggling to maintain any level of legitimacy. Indeed, rather than asserting control, many big-name Iranian officials instead appear to be running scared. With Hegseth summing up the situation as follows. Iran's leadership is in no better shape, desperate and hiding. They've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. This is what happens when a country faces the greatest aerial force ever assembled. It's only going to get worse for Iran from here. Subscribe for more tactical insights from The Military Show. The success of American airstrikes comes as no surprise. Iran's defenses, from Shahed drones to missiles, pale in comparison to the U.S. Air Force. Nothing counteracts the power of the U.S. bomber fleet. The B-52, B-1B, and B-2 together provide the perfect mix of stealth, range, and firepower. Let's look at the B-52. Introduced in the 1950s, it's still the venerable workhorse of the fleet, proving its worth in every major conflict. From nuclear deterrence to precision strikes, these titans ensure global dominance. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into these aerial titans. This is The Military Show. Its age means it's not the fastest member of the fleet, lacking the supersonic speeds of the B-1 or the stealth of the B-2. But it's still one of the best bombers in existence, fine-tuned to remain relevant from the Cold War right up to the modern day. It packs more of a punch than any other U.S. bomber, with a maximum capacity of 70,000 pounds of munitions. Capable of launching cruise missiles, the Stratofortress serves as a standoff platform, dealing damage from outside enemy airspace. Then, there's the B-1B Lancer. The swiftest of the three, it hits peak speeds exceeding 900 miles per hour. Focused on conventional warfare, it gets in, deals massive damage, and leaves before the enemy even knows what hit it. Ideal for rapid response, it has proven exceptionally effective in Iran and global conflicts throughout military history. Arguably, the most astonishing thing about this bomber is that it almost never existed. In the late 1970s, President Jimmy Carter canceled the B-1 project, preferring to focus on intercontinental ballistic missiles instead. Ronald Reagan revived the program in 1980, with the Lancer entering service later that decade, alongside the B-2 Spirit. Famous for its distinctive shape and stealth, this flying wing is near impossible for enemies to detect until it's too late. Designed to evade advanced radar, it penetrates heavily defended airspace with relative ease and minimal risk. It delivers conventional and nuclear weapons with peerless precision, perfect for targeted attacks on enemy fortifications. Together, these bombers give the US the ability to conduct any strike mission anywhere in the world, including all across Iran. What's more, the fleet is soon set to get a major upgrade in the form of a brand new bomber, the B-21 Raider. The US Air Force's next-generation bomber, the B-21, is set to first complement the existing fleet, but eventually replace both the B-1 and B-2 by 2040. It's designed to be even more difficult to detect than the B-2 Spirit, with even more advanced stealth technologies to evade enemy radars and air defense systems. It can also cover enormous distances, firing on targets across the globe with only minimal support needed, capable of carrying both conventional and nuclear weapons. While also boasting open systems architecture that can be upgraded with ease, this next-level bomber will elevate America's arsenal to whole new heights, and it could even see action in Iran if recent reports are anything to go by. In mid-March, a B-21 was photographed carrying out an aerial refueling for the first time, demonstrating the rapid progress that the Air Force appears to be making in testing and finalizing this bomber. Before it's expected to officially enter service in 2027, by then it's extremely likely that the Iran war will be completely over and done with. But should the US feel the need for a follow-up invasion or additional assaults, it will be able to count on the immense firepower and staggering stealth capabilities of the Raider to do so.